The energetic season shifts today. Starting now and for the next 4 weeks, you will have the ability to see what was once invisible in the details of your life. The universe has just handed you a cosmic filter, a lens of clarity. The question is, will you use it? In recent times, we have lived under the expansive, dramatic, and radiant energy of the sun in Leo. It was a season of brilliance, of self-expression, of grand gestures, and of focus on the stage of life. But today, the scene changes completely. The sun enters the practical, analytical, and meticulous sign of Virgo. The spotlight that illuminated the stage goes out, and in its place, a laser of precision turns on, capable of illuminating the smallest particle of dust in the air. This is not a mood swing. It is a fundamental shift in how our consciousness operates. The noise of emotional drama begins to fade, and in its place, a new and almost uncomfortable mental clarity emerges. The collective energy invites us to leave the world of big ideas and dive into the world of concrete facts. The cosmic question ceases to be, how do I feel about this? And becomes, does this factually work? In the next few minutes, this won't be about rules or obligations. Instead, you'll receive a powerful guide to activate and use the cosmic filter that Virgo's season brings. We will explore how this filter will change your perception, exposing what was once hidden in the details. We will analyze the crucial choice that presents itself: to use this clarity to make sound decisions, or to feel overwhelmed by what it reveals. And most importantly, we will train your mind to use this new lens and separate the essential from the superfluous, bringing an immediate sense of relief, confidence, and a silent, unshakable power. The cosmic filter we've spoken about is not something you need to strive to turn on. With the sun's entry into Virgo, it has already been activated. It's as if the operating system of your perception received a silent overnight update. Your interface with reality has changed. What changes is not the world. It is your ability to process it with a new level of detail and clarity. The next 4 weeks are about learning to use this new software, and the first effects are already noticeable. The first and most notable effect of this update is the change in the resolution of your view of life. If the energy of Leo season was like watching your life on a large, panoramic, and emotional movie screen, the energy of Virgo is like switching to an 8K screen, where every pixel, every detail, every tiny imperfection becomes incredibly sharp and impossible to ignore. You might suddenly notice a small calculation error in a spreadsheet you've looked at 10 times. You might perceive dust in a corner of your house, or an out-of-place item that never bothered you before, but which now seems to scream for your attention. In a conversation, you might pick up on a micro-expression, a hesitation, or a small inconsistency in someone's speech that would have gone completely unnoticed before. Do not interpret this as you becoming overly critical or annoying. It is a sign that your ability to see details has been massively amplified. This is Virgo's gift: attention to the minutiae. The universe is, metaphorically, handing you a magnifying glass so you can examine the systems of your life. It is a powerful tool to find and fix small flaws in your plans, your health, and your relationships before they become large and problematic. The direct consequence of starting to see details more clearly is the second sign: a sudden intolerance for chaos. The disorder that was once just background noise in your life now becomes irritating, almost physically uncomfortable. The pile of papers on your desk is no longer just a pile of papers. It becomes a glaring symbol of inefficiency that drains your mental energy every time you look at it. A chaotic morning routine where you are always late and looking for things, is no longer just how things are. It reveals itself as a flawed system that needs to be optimized. Relationships with confusing and dramatic dynamics, which might have even been a bit exciting in Leo season, now seem just tiring and inefficient. Do not be alarmed by this new intolerance. It is not a sign that you are becoming a rigid person. It is your soul, under Virgo's influence, yearning for order, efficiency, and well-being. Virgo energy knows, on an instinctive level, that chaos is the enemy of progress and peace of mind. This discomfort you feel regarding disorder, physical, mental, or emotional, is your internal guide. It is the tip of Virgo's laser, pointing exactly where the soul's cleanup needs to begin. The third sign, which integrates the previous two, is a notable change in your emotional landscape. Clarity that cuts through the drama. Virgo energy, an earth sign, is inherently pragmatic and analytical. It acts as a natural filter for excessive emotional drama, both yours and others. Where you might have previously drowned in an emotion or a poor me story, you now find yourself taking a step back and analyzing the situation. Okay, I am feeling this emotion. What is its root cause? What is the next practical step I can take to solve the problem that is causing it? You become more capable of separating the feeling from the story your mind tells about it. This clarity might feel, at first, like a certain detachment or coldness, but it is, in fact, an immense superpower. It is the ability to respond to life situations with logic and strategy instead of pure emotional reactivity. It is the power to see the gears behind the clock, which allows you to fix it instead of just complaining that it's running late. Now that you recognize the signs of the activation of your cosmic filter, of your new high-definition vision, you find yourself at a crossroads of perception. The energy of Virgo in itself is neutral. It is simply a magnifying lens that the universe places over your life. How you use this lens, however, will determine whether the next 4 weeks will be a period of improvement, relief, and silent empowerment, or a period of anxiety, paralyzing self-criticism, and frustration with details. On one side of the crossroads, we have the path of noise, of unconscious reaction. On the other, the path of discernment, of conscious response. Let's first investigate the path of noise, which is the path that most people, unfortunately, will follow by default. This is the path of resistance. It is the attempt to continue operating in the expansive, dramatic, and big picture-focused mode of Leo season, even when the energetic season has completely changed. It is the refusal to accept that the party is over and that now it's time for the cleanup. When a person resists Virgo's energy, they feel the new attention to detail, not as a useful tool, but as a source of immense anxiety. The mind suddenly begins to notice all the imperfections in life, the money that wasn't saved, the diet that was broken, the work projects that aren't perfect, the disorder at home. Without the awareness that this is an energy of improvement, the person interprets it as a personal attack, as evidence of their own failure. The result is a vicious cycle of anxiety and overwhelm. The mental list of things to fix becomes so large that the person feels crushed, paralyzed by the feeling that everything is wrong and that there is nowhere to start. Along with anxiety comes the second manifestation of noise, relentless self-criticism. The analytical energy of Virgo, when not directed toward a constructive external purpose, turns inward as a weapon of self-flagellation. The person begins to judge themselves harshly for every little flaw the magnifying glass reveals. I should be more organized. I should be healthier. I am a failure for not having done this before. The energy given to fix the system is instead used to attack the self, to reinforce beliefs of unworthiness and inadequacy. The final result of this path is paralysis. The person, overwhelmed by anxiety and whipped by self-criticism, does nothing. They drown in the details, feeling inadequate and exhausted. They ignore the filter, remain in the noise of internal drama, and completely miss the opportunity for improvement that Virgo season offers. Now let's look at the other path, the path of discernment. This is the path of the strategist, of the alchemist of the soul. It is the conscious choice to take the magnifying glass the universe has offered and use it not as a weapon against yourself, but as a tool for diagnosis and improvement. Whoever chooses this path reaps immense gains. The first and greatest gain is the power of discernment. Discernment is the ability to separate the essential from the superfluous, the signal from the noise, what matters from what doesn't. With the Virgo filter consciously activated, you gain the ability to look at a complex situation, be it a financial problem, a challenge at work, or a health issue, and identify the leverage point. The leverage point is that one thing that, if adjusted or fixed, will solve 80% of the problem. You stop wasting your precious energy on unimportant tasks and focus your attention and effort on what truly brings results. It's the difference between trying to tidy a chaotic room by moving all the furniture randomly and identifying that the problem is simply one drawer that, if organized, will free up all the space. The second gain, born from discernment, is a profound relief. Anxiety, in large part, comes from uncertainty, from feeling overwhelmed, and from not knowing the next step to take. Virgo's clarity removes this uncertainty. By using the magnifying glass to analyze the facts objectively, you may not like what you see, but at least you know what the real situation is. And from that knowledge, you can finally make an informed decision and identify the next practical and logical step to take. This clarity about what to do next is one of the greatest antidotes to anxiety that exists. The confusion dissipates and gives way to an action plan. Finally, the third gain is a new form of silent confidence. Not the loud, performative confidence of Leo that needs applause, but the quiet, solid, and unshakable confidence of Virgo. It is the confidence that comes from knowing you have the tools to fix what is broken, to optimize what is inefficient, to improve yourself and your life, one detail at a time. It is the confidence of the artisan in their own craft. The certainty that no matter how complex the problem may seem, you have the patience, the intelligence, and the ability to analyze it, break it down into smaller parts, and solve it step by step. Discernment is not a mystical gift that some have and others do not. It is a skill, a mental muscle that can and should be trained. Now that you understand the risks of noise and the immense gains of clarity, let's enter the gym of the mind. What follows is not a to-do list to overwhelm you further, but rather a perception training in 3 levels. Each level activates a new layer of your cosmic filter, transforming you from a passive observer of your life into an active and conscious strategist. This is the manual for learning to think with Virgo's precision. Level 1, the focus on the what, the lens of objective reality. The first and most fundamental skill that Virgo's energy offers us is the ability to separate fact from fiction, especially the emotional fiction that we ourselves create and believe in. Our mind, by nature, is a tireless storyteller. It takes a raw fact and in milliseconds wraps it in layers of drama, fear, assumptions, past memories, and future projections. The result is that, most of the time, we do not react to reality, but rather to our highly dramatic story about reality. The first level of our training is to learn to strip the facts bare, to see them in their nakedness, free of our personal narrative. The guiding question, your mantra for this level, is what factually and objectively is happening here, without my story or my drama. Let's use a practical example. Imagine you sent an important message to someone and haven't received a reply for several hours. The mind immediately begins to tell a story. He, she is ignoring me, doesn't care about me, is probably with someone else. Our relationship is ending. I am always rejected. This is the story, the noise. The Virgo practice requires you to pause and apply the lens of objective reality. Look at the situation and ask yourself, what factually do I know? The answer, the fact is, I sent a message at 9 a.m. and it is now 6 p.m. and I have not received a response. Full stop. That is all you know. The rest is a fiction created by your anxiety. Practicing this level of focus is liberating. Studies show that 90% of our anxiety comes not from the facts themselves, but from the catastrophic stories we tell ourselves about them. By sticking to the facts, you stop feeding the drama monster. You operate from a place of calm and reality, which gives you immense power to deal with the actual situation when it unfolds, instead of fighting the ghosts of your imagination. Level 2, the focus on the why, the lens of root cause. After learning to see the what with clarity, Virgo's second lens invites us to go deeper. It is the lens of the systems analyst, the detective, the doctor. It is not content with the superficial symptom. It tirelessly seeks the root cause, the systemic pattern that generates the problem repeatedly. Virgo's key question for this level is, what is the root cause, the systemic pattern behind this problem, instead of the immediate trigger? Continuing with our example, the symptom is the lack of a response to your message. The trigger is the other person's silence. A reactive mind would get stuck there. The analytical mind of Virgo goes deeper. The investigation begins. Is this a recurring pattern in this relationship? Yes. What is the root cause of this pattern? Perhaps it's a chronic failure in our communication about expectations. Or maybe it's my personal pattern of choosing emotionally unavailable partners because it reflects a wound of my own. Or maybe it's his/her pattern of shutting down under pressure. Virgo's energy invites us to stop trying to fix today's leak with a bucket and instead to investigate the entire plumbing of our life to find the real fissure. This level of focus is what creates lasting change. Instead of having the same argument about the unanswered message every week, you start having a new and much more productive conversation about the communication pattern in the relationship. You stop treating the symptoms and start healing the disease. It's the difference between taking a painkiller for a toothache and going to the dentist to treat the cavity. It is deeper, more uncomfortable work, but it is the only work that truly fixes the problem for good. Level 3. The focus on the how, the lens of minimum viable action. Finally, with the objective reality seen and the root cause identified, the third lens is that of efficient and pragmatic action. The mind, upon seeing the complexity of the root cause, my God, I need to fix my entire relationship pattern, can feel overwhelmed again. This is where Virgo's perfectionism, the shadow we discussed in the last script, can attack, paralyzing us with the enormity of the task. Therefore, Virgo's final and most intelligent question is not, how do I solve all of this right now? The question is, what is the smallest, simplest, and most precise action I can take right now that will have the biggest impact to start fixing the system? This is not about a revolution, but about leverage. It's the search for the leverage point, for the 1% improvement that starts a chain reaction of positive change. Returning to our example, the answer is not, "I need to end the relationship today." The minimum viable action, based on your investigation, might be, "The next time we talk, I will express my need for communication clearly and calmly, using one of the tactics we learned." Or if the root cause is your pattern, the action might be, "I will research and buy a book on avoidant attachment." This lens protects you from the paralysis of overwhelm. It transforms a complex systemic problem into a single, small, executable step. It is the essence of Virgo's wisdom, which knows that the grandest of cleanups, the most monumental of constructions, always begins with organizing a single drawer with the placement of a single brick. The conclusion of our journey through the cosmic filter leaves us with a fundamental truth. Clarity is not about perfection, it's about precision. The sun in Virgo gives you the precision of a laser to focus on what truly matters. The pursuit of perfection, as we investigated, is a trap that leads to paralysis and self-criticism. It keeps us stuck in the planning phase, afraid to act because the result might not be flawless. Precision, however, is the opposite. It is the ability to identify the essential and discard the noise. It is the clarity to know that a small, intelligent adjustment of the rudder is far more effective than trying to rebuild the entire ship in the middle of the sea. Virgo energy, in its highest and wisest expression, is not about creating a flawless life. It is about creating a life with intention, where every action and every choice is made with surgical precision, focused on continuous improvement. This is just the beginning of a season of clarity. Whoever learns to use this cosmic filter starting today will arrive at the new moon in Virgo next Saturday in a position of immense power. While most people will reach this portal of new beginnings feeling overwhelmed by the chaos of life and will make vague, generic requests to the universe, you will arrive like an architect with a detailed blueprint. You will know exactly which seed to plant, in which area of your life, and what is necessary to make it grow. Your manifestation for the next lunar cycle will not be a shot in the dark, a hope cast into the wind. It will be the next logical step in a well-executed plan. This is your strategic advantage. This clarity is your new superpower. It is your competitive advantage in the journey of life. The tool that transforms chaos into order and confusion into progress. If this guide on the cosmic filter resonated with you, if you feel more focused, more precise, and ready to act with a new wisdom, anchor this new power. Like this video, share it with someone you know who needs clarity amidst the chaos, and declare your new tool, your new strength in the comments. My clarity is my power, and don't forget to subscribe so we can continue to sharpen our tools together for a more conscious and successful life.